The sun just came out, it became light outside, and the girl is not sleeping anymore. She has started to work and is already waiting for the report that she asked for last night. The butler brought her a document about the financial status of the territory she requested. It may seem that the situation is completely ordinary, but something connects her with this man. They not only work and live in this huge ducal house, he is also her father, Count Norman Meckler. Only she has no respect for him. She considers him a pitiful and greedy person. When he first appeared here, she was afraid that he would take an example from his mistress. The truth is that they ended up here because there were no other options. No one wanted to send their precious daughter to the illegitimate heir of a poor duchy. The previous duke and duchess were extremely extravagant and liked to drink. On top of that, they became addicted to it and abandoned the territory. In the end, due to excessive drinking, they both died of heart attacks. And on the same day, if they failed to confirm the current lord as the heir, the territory would fall into the hands of the younger brother of the former duke, the Count of Boulogne. The man did not want the Duchy of Cornwall, to which he devoted his whole life, to fall into the hands of a thief, the Count of Boulogne. Therefore, he was desperately looking for the child of the former duke, born from a maid, in an orphanage. And not only, unfortunately, although he was treated more or less normally in the shelter, he still grew up very timid and could not adapt to the new environment for a long time. In time, the imperial palace officially recognized the right of the young lord to the throne. It was necessary to try hard to prepare a significant dowry, but since the position of the duchy was widely known abroad, it turned out to be difficult to find a suitable marriage union. Only Count Norman did not hesitate to give his daughter away, and even personally wrote a contract stating that he would not have anything to do with her in the future. Naturally, this had a very strong impact on their relationship. The daughter became too detached and no longer perceives him as a person who can be trusted. In the end, he serves her in everything to at least somehow atone for his guilt, even though he understands that this is far from enough. To this day, both girls remember that the duchy was once powerful and prestigious. The first Duke of Cernois was a war hero and personally conquered vast lands. But the previous duke neglected the management of the territory for a long time, and now the duchy is suffering from financial difficulties. The situation is sad, but she is reassured by the fact that there are gold coins and jewels hidden somewhere in this house. If you find them, you can solve all financial problems in an instant. The lady has not addressed her father for a long time. As before, she calls him by name or by status. Butler, this time she said that there is only one thing for him. It is necessary to find a teacher from the knightly order for the mare boy, because if he is going to lead knights, he needs to start studying from an early age. Norman promised that he would do everything and wished her a good day. Meanwhile, my mother arranged a small tea party for him to chat, and he didn't even wait for the tea. He immediately started eating all the sweets. She asked him not to get involved in this because in the future it may affect his health, and because of this, it will be difficult to achieve his goals. It seems to her that discipline will not prevent him from learning from childhood. The girl understands that he eats up his stress so much, but there must be a limit to everything. Still, she is not going to completely limit him in sweets. She really wanted to give him everything he needed. But if you overdo it and indulge him in everything, you can only make it worse. Post Edgar, Maya offered him to play. She knows a very good game, which he probably has never played. At that moment, he called her by name. She immediately corrected him and asked to address her only as a lady. After all, until he returns the princess, she is still his lady after all, and this is very important to remember. Cabell smiled sweetly at her and then promised that she would not hear him call her by her name again. Maya suggested that they don't waste time. He needs to count to 10. At that time, she will run away from him, wherever she can, and then he will have to find her first and then catch her. The girl ran away from him so quickly that he immediately realized that if he counted to 10, he would have to look for her until the very evening. He waited 1 second, 2, then he began to read faster. In the end, he did not even count to 6 and ran after her, pretending that time had already passed. My mother heard that he was already running up, although she was also counting to orient herself in time, and realized that he was playing unfairly. The boy was very happy to have her, and she immediately liked him, because he did not play by the rules and did not read to the end. He doesn't even hide it, continues to hug her, and also admitted that he has a lot of fun with her, and he wants them to go out more often. From a boy who has always been very secretive about himself, They hear that this is real happiness. Since the day she first saw him, he has really changed, and it's amazing. She finally sees the result of her efforts, already perceives him as her younger brother, and enjoys spending time with him. He is so cute that it is impossible for him not to forgive such moments when he wants to be a winner and hear praise. After all, it is extremely important for him. And in the meantime, they have already come to training. It's not as fun as the games, but without it, there is nowhere. From today, he will attend classes several times a week and receive grades. Kabul is very difficult to get to know new people. Even though the boy tries to make his ego as comfortable as possible, the boy is still very shy and even hides behind May. He is too distrustful of people. It seems to him that it is better to distance himself from unfamiliar people, so that later they do not hurt or offend him. My mother knew that this was how it would be. She began to think about what to do. She could not rudely tell him that he should study or ask to say hello to this guy. He needs a special approach. She thought that it was wrong to say that the child was afraid of adults, since he was treated badly in the orphanage and it was mostly adults. Then she added that now he is still a child, but in the future he will be led by princes, so she asked him to take care of him properly and ideally to make friends and find a common language so that the child would be happy to go to classes and not be afraid. The guy said that he would definitely try to come up with something, but since he had no experience with it, it might take a while. He has no idea how it is done, but my side will also try to come up with something. She is already talking to the boy and explains that she has chosen the best and friendliest teacher for him with whom he will definitely get along. And in order for him to be calmer, the girl promised that she would not go far. She would be next to him on the bench, from where he would be able to see her perfectly and would always be able to calm. She saw that he was no longer so tense, but still there was work to be done, and she did not expect anything better. The knight only knows that you need to be careful with children. Don't shout and explain everything slowly, even if the child doesn't understand something. It's better to spend more time on lessons than to shout and say that he can't do anything and won't achieve anything. The teacher has a double responsibility. He is watched by a young lady, and he does not want to hear from her later that something is wrong. At this time, she decided to read her favorite book, so the girl rests and tries to distract herself from all these difficulties. She was interested in a page that tells how to prepare a potion, but it is not yet clear why she needs it. There is nothing complicated in the recipe. The problem is only in the ingredients themselves. You need a lot of different plants and fruits for cooking so that everything turns out. Then she thought that it would be very nice if she had even a small greenhouse to grow everything that could be useful. She remembers only one greenhouse that was in the Duke's castle. Probably it has not been used for a very long time. To reconstruct it, a large amount of money is needed, and it would also be nice to increase its size. This is another situation that suggests that you need to look for a hidden safe that will solve all problems. And only then did she switch to the child, saw that he was already standing up and could not hold the heavy sword in his hands for a long time. Then she thought that there is no need to focus so much on him. After all, now the teacher is responsible for him, and she just sits next to him and can think about something else. No matter what, swords began to fall to the floor. The boy's eyes showed that he was a little upset. He probably thought that the first lesson would be very easy, but it turned out not to be so. The teacher begins to explain that the sword must be held firmly, because if it flies out in real fights, this automatically means defeat. It should be as if glued to the hand, and this is the first rule. Then the guy sees that the lady gets up from the bench and goes straight to them. He immediately began to remember what he did wrong. It is unlikely that she decided to take the child. After all, the lessons are not over yet. The girl approached him and asked how it was possible to point a wooden sword at a child. So rudely as he did, they should at least warn about each of their movements and not forget that in front of them is a child who is especially afraid of elders. Mind herself understands that excessive care is of no use here, but this way she will be calmer, at least for the next few days. For her, the main thing is that the boy feels comfortable, and if this requires the most careful treatment of him, then she will take care of it. She decided that she could finish today. The child learned a few rules, practiced a little, and now she needs to rest. The guy has never faced anything like this. He is used to talking very loudly and making sure that his students grasp everything at once, not sparing anyone. He treats everyone like future knights who are not afraid of rudeness. He understands that he went a little overboard. After all, there was a child in front of him, and he needed a personal approach. And he still does not understand how this is possible, but he has a feeling that this boy will still show everyone what he is capable of, and in the future he will not be recognized. So the girl did not notice how she began to behave like his mother. She is with him everywhere and always. Even when he had to get ready for bed, she found pajamas and asked him to sleep faster. It is very convenient for him that he does not have to think about it himself. The main thing is that it does not turn into a problem later, that he cannot do anything himself. When he was changing, she stood looking at his back and noticed that there were so many different marks on her, even such large ones, as if a monster had attacked him. He's all scratched up, probably because of today's lesson. But there's no way without it. After all, it's a dangerous thing, and it's normal. They are silent all the time. She calmly fastens his clothes and fights with the strongest feeling of guilt that she imagines him studying. Studying is one thing, but for today's situation, when an adult shouted at him, "I'm really ashamed." Although she did everything herself, introduced them, explained everything to everyone, but everything turned out only worse, and it upsets her. If tomorrow he tells her that he doesn't want to go to class, then we can assume that they have big problems. And the boy suddenly cried when she started looking at his hand. It is obvious that it is because of the wooden sword. It had so many splinters that out of habit, it is very easy to scratch delicate children's hands. Suddenly, he began to tell that before, when he cried, he was scolded for this sound. So he got used to crying quietly, although he understands that now it is not necessary. It was difficult for him to talk about it, which means that she does not even know half of his problems, and the two of them have a lot of hard work ahead of them. She must help him love this world, relax, and feel comfortable wherever he is. My mother suggested that he solve this problem in the near future. For example, if he wants to cry. Like now, then he should make special sounds so that he gets used to it and does not think that someone will punish him for it. She asks him to release his emotions to the outside, not to hold back, especially since there is only her and him here, and there is no one else. The girl promised that she would always be close to him, especially when it was needed, and after that, asked him to promise that he would at least try to stop thinking that there is danger everywhere, and that he can be punished for any action, because it is not so. Keble smiled slightly. He felt much better, which means that it is very important to discuss all these points with him, because even after a normal conversation, he feels better. Since he doesn't want to sleep yet, she offered him to treat the wound so that by morning there would be no more inflammation on his hand and everything would heal quickly. She specially chose a gentle remedy herself so that it was almost not felt and at the same time did its job. Maya asked him how he felt, and he said that while she was around, he felt really good. But as soon as she left, he would feel lonely again. Even though he is a little sad now, the girl still understands that there is progress. The main thing is not to stop. And then she got an idea. Find out his characteristics or any other information about the people he remembers when he is afraid or sad. My mother asked me to describe what they look like, what they usually said to him both, and what he remembered most from his childhood. He began to describe people with big noses, lips. The girl managed to draw approximate portraits, although she understands that real people are unlikely to look like this. Then they did not notice how they fell asleep at the same time. After some time, as usual, the maid came to the boy to check whether he was asleep or not. She didn't think to see them here together. She decided that she shouldn't wake anyone up because nothing like that would happen if they slept in the same bed for one night. The girl was about to leave, but she noticed two portraits of some people and thought that they must be playing some kind of game. She thought it was very cute, although if she had known what kind of portraits these were, she would not have seen anything cute in them. And meanwhile, the very next day, early in the morning, something happened that should not have happened so quickly. They found the same safe with money and jewelry. As it turned out, it was almost in a visible place, and she passed by it every day. All this time, the safe was under the table in the office of the previous duke. There is so much here that you want to look at every coin until the very evening. This is the same treasure that the former duke left to his son, who has long been dead. Maya is already thinking about how to spend this money so that rumors spread that it was used correctly. She asked the butler if she really can fully dispose of this inheritance, To which he replies that everything is absolutely true. All the assets of the duchy belong to his gracious duke and her. In this case, she asked him to strengthen the knightly order with a part of these coins and preferably as soon as possible. After all, they will participate in the war with the Cabal. The order of knighthood must be strong so that the Cabal and everyone else are safe. In addition, the strengthening of the knightly order to reliably protect the territory, since the duchy is currently ruled by a young duke, there will certainly be those who will try to rob it for 200,000. Norman said that he understood that everything would be done. This is a very difficult task, but he can't even hint that it is so, because he never wants to upset her in any way. Maya understands that this is a very difficult task. It is very tiring, but everyone must do their job, and she could not help but strengthen the order since such an opportunity arose. And in the meantime, she has already come to the same teacher and asks him to temporarily serve as a knight commander. He asks if he understands her correctly, and she says that until the boy grows up and can become a commander himself, someone needs to occupy this place. The boy still does not understand how she imagines it, because he already has responsibilities and he can barely cope with them. He explained that it might not be visible, but he is much busier than she thinks, and if the commanders really need him, then he will have to choose what he will do, one of two. Maya began to remember what she knows about him. She remembered that he doesn't even have a wife and children, so she doesn't understand why he can be so busy and what he spends all his time on. The guy didn't think that she would dig so deep, or maybe the girl just realized that he just didn't want to take on additional responsibilities. And that's all just answers. He began to think about what to say to this, but nothing came to mind. Her phrases literally hit him head on. Maya realized that she had upset him, smiled and said that she was very glad that they came to a compromise, and everything turned out so well. Although he clearly does not think so, and is very unhappy with the result of the conversation. She gave him a specific task, wished him a good day, and, in the meantime, had already organized breakfast for her and the child. Even though the girl said that it was wrong to eat sweets in the morning in large quantities, today she made him a holiday and allowed him to eat everything and as much as he wanted. They talked about how it would be nice to live in a candy house. The only pity is that it would not be as durable as ordinary houses, and such a place of residence would not be enough for a long time. Someone would definitely eat the furniture or the roof to pieces. Just in case, if he ever wanted to implement such an idea, she asked him to imagine what he would do if a swarm of ants attacked his house. For example, when he was asleep and did not hear it. After all, they can attack him too, because he will smell of sweets, like the whole huge candy house. He is a little upset, but he understands that this idea was initially unfeasible, or rather, impractical. The girl apologized for destroying his dreams. She just thought it was right to warn him right away, so that he would not think that such a thing could be realized in life. Because if it were so, they would already have seen such houses somewhere. Suddenly, she got an idea. She will measure their growth to see how fast and how much they grow. She is sure that it will be interesting in a few years or months to see how much they have grown. The boy had never thought about it, so he immediately supported such an idea and asked that he be measured first. He also says that he wants him to be taller than her in the future, because now he doesn't like it and he really wants to be taller. Maya knows very well how important this is for a boy, especially in his case, and here she decided to combine the interesting with the useful. The girl began to tell that growth depends on what he eats. If he eats only sweets for breakfast, no good results can be achieved. But if he asks for healthy and useful food, after a month it will be possible to take a measurement and make sure that it works. She even had to say that she once checked it too. Although in fact it wasn't, in any case. It's a lie for good, it's not so bad. The girl did not think that he would want to check it so immediately. The boy promised to ask correctly in the next week, although he understands that it will not be easy, especially because he is not used to it. He was so passionate about this desire that he already regretted that he had cookies and a piece of cake for breakfast. If he had the opportunity to turn back time and not do this, he would gladly have eaten something else. After such tea drinking, he was so pleased that he thanked her for the fact that he simply has her. Before, the boy could not think that he would have a person with whom he would be so happy. He literally treats her like his older sister and can no longer imagine his life without her. Some time passed. They wanted to read books. Even though the lady asked them not to disturb, Norman still knocked and said that it was very important. He needs to know something in advance and start preparing for one day, and these are their birthdays. He is sure that time will fly by unnoticed, so he is already thinking about it now. The fact is that the birthdays of the hostess and the lady are not far from each other, although they may not like it, but he wants to propose the idea of celebrating these two holidays on the same day. The man apologized in advance if someone didn't like the idea. He even regretted suggesting it, but my mother told him that it sounded good. He did not think that she would react so well. In that case, he suggested that she decide on a day when they would organize all this. At least some kind of plan and a list of guests were needed. The girl apologized, then thanked him. And this was the first time in recent times that Norman spoke to her so well. Usually when he offers something, she gets angry and asks not to disturb her. The man thought that she became like this thanks to this boy. With him, she changed very much, even in relation to other people. She is softer, and everyone notices this. The butler left, and she began to remember whether there are any memories of the real Maya. She only knows that she does not have very good memories of her birthday. Count McClare, who had not only children from his legal wife, but also illegitimate ones, he was known for the fact that he never organized holidays for his children. One might think that, although the mother could try somehow to please her children, but that didn't happen either. She was quite indifferent. She always thought only of herself and of the children in the very last place, so much so that they sometimes forgot that they had a mother. The girl has no good memories of her past life either. Things were not easy there either, and not as colorful as she would have liked. She was an orphan and did not even know her birthday. There was not a single occasion when someone congratulated her with something. There were simply no holidays in her life. Therefore, since she already has the opportunity to arrange a festive party in this body, she will gladly take advantage of it. The boy asks her what kind of holiday it is and why he pays so much attention to this day. She told that birthday is the day he came into this world. This day is celebrated every hour. On the same day, usually people are congratulated by their friends and relatives, gifts are given, and until the very night the birthday person has fun and enjoys the holiday. And also, for most people, this holiday is the most favorite. She promises him that he also likes this day, and since he likes sweets, she doesn't even doubt it, because there will be enough of them. It seems to her that it is better not to ask him about it, but it is obvious that Kabila hardly had a normal birthday either. He grew up in an orphanage where there could be no talk of any pleasant things. Then he dreamed only of a good attitude towards himself and to live calmly for at least one day, not to mention any gifts. While he is learning to write, my mother seriously thought that the upcoming holiday is a great opportunity to show the child that there are many good moments in life, and with her, there will be more of them than he can imagine. She even thought that since he wanted a candy house so much, she could give him something similar, only not in such large sizes. The girl decided to pretend to me. Let it be a surprise for him, and already this night she will definitely come up with something. As Norman said, the time passed very imperceptibly, but everyone had time to prepare, and with joint efforts created something incredible. Someone came up with the idea, and someone was engaged in the purchase of products. Someone cooked, someone stole, and in the end, a part of the gift appeared, a chic strawberry cake. All the while, the girl had already learned about his preferences, so she had no doubt that he would like this taste the most. She even asked the servants to pay less attention to her. It would be better if all the attention and smiles were directed toward the child. She wanted to be the first to congratulate him. After all, he is a very close person to her, and she treats him even better than her own father. Although the girl did not say this, everyone understood what she meant. Some of the maids even shed tears. Her words were so sweet. She wished him all the best, and after that, she asked him to bring her a present and suggested that he guess what was in the box. Maya only hinted that she did it with her own hands and is very worried that it might look a little clumsy and not as beautiful as she would like and could be. The boy did not expect this so much that he did not even answer. Silently opened the box, and there he saw a pink hair, which he liked at first sight. He smiled so much that it was the sweetest and best moment in all the time she's known him. My mother was very pleased and once again congratulated him on his day. She is very happy that this day will be remembered by him as something good, and in the meantime, the butler came and reminded that the boy also has a present for her. I didn't think she would come up with anything. It was also very nice, but she has no idea what could be there. And suddenly he also made something with his own hands and spent a lot of time on it. She slowly opens the box with trembling hands. She even closed her eyes so as not to see anything right away. But when she opened them, she almost cried because of what was there. He put a postcard in the box with the inscription, "Thank you for everything. I love you very much, and there are many candies nearby." And this is officially the best gift that she received in her life. Time flew by very quickly again. Since that moment, a whole hour has passed, although it feels like only a couple of months, no more. She is 14 and Kabila is 8, which he is very proud of, and of course he has also changed a little in height. Meanwhile, the butler came to the lady with a proposal. He thinks that it would be nice to hire even more servants to the castle, but she didn't even begin to find out how necessary and important it was. Just asked him to do it himself and let him know when everything was done. During this year, Lord Bedos led the knights very well. He even liked his new job, although he was initially very against it. Also, Maya made sure that it was easier and more pleasant for the servants to work. She increased the number of days off and ordered the butler to renew their work equipment. And a few days ago, the camel appeared before the knights. For the first time, like a worthy lord, he learned manners and, thanks to the teacher, felt completely comfortable. It was a ceremony of knighting students, and she took the boy's hand to show that she was near. Although he has already learned a lot, sometimes she feels that it is not easy for him, but she is still very satisfied with him. Meanwhile, she has so many things that she doesn't have time to deal with one thing. As something new appears, for example, repairmen will come to them tomorrow, and she already needs to decide what kind of result she wants to see. They decided to use some of the remaining gold coins to repair the greenhouse, and she is thinking of building a laboratory next to it. She also remembered that she was planning to go to the market, but she has no idea how she will manage to do it all. When she starts to do one thing, she thinks about another, and in the end, it is not possible to finish either one or the other, and a boy constantly approaches her, who also needs a lot of attention. Her head literally explodes from all this. She was advised to think about an assistant so as not to go crazy in such cases. And of course, she is very worried about the fact that at any moment he can refuse the teacher and ask her to go with him to the battlefield for classes. They became friends so well that she can no longer tell him that she is busy. It will be hard for the boy to hear something like, "I don't have time, take care of yourself." And this is another problem with which we will have to fight in general, more than time and desire. And in the meantime, she has already come to the market. There are a lot of people here. The atmosphere is unusual, but she likes it. It is at least some kind of change of scenery. She was very pleased to see people. They are all smiling. It's a pity that they are walking, laughing, having fun. But she came here on business and is a little jealous of them. Lord Bedos and the boy came with her, who, as always, did not want to be without her, so he persuaded her to take him with her. The maid joined them a little later. She also wanted to go for a walk, and the mistress was not against it, so they formed a whole team. One of them asked her to look to the side, as if there is something interesting there. Although, in fact, she is not interested in it now, but she still looked there. Some people came on camels. They had never seen anything like this, and it was really interesting to see it. Only they are not cheerful. They look at everyone as if there is some danger for them here. Even though there are only peaceful people who came here to buy food, they still look with apprehension, and this is very strange. Maybe they just feel uncomfortable here. As soon as my mother asked everyone to stay together so as not to get lost, a crowd of people headed towards them, as if specially. They did not have time to firmly hold hands. They literally began to be separated on different sides of the street. The boy and the girl were so frightened that they even began to shout at passers-by. It is also very uncomfortable that they are small and people simply do not notice them. The girl is not particularly worried about herself, but she is very worried about him. If something happens to him, he will remember this situation for the rest of his life, like the screams in the orphanage. It will be exactly the same situation. He will simply stop going out, especially if there are many people around. Maya tried to reach for him once more, but it didn't work, and she was already getting very nervous. It was supposed to be a pleasant walk, but in the end, it turned out exactly the opposite. The problems only increased. She looked into his eyes and regretted that she had taken him with her at all, began to blame herself for everything, and ruined her own mood. She is even more worried not that they might get lost, but that the mayor will close in on herself again and stop feeling comfortable around people, especially strangers. In the end, the crowd dispersed. The three of them remained in more or less the same area, but the boy was nowhere to be seen. She won't survive if something happens to him. The girl has already run as far as she can, but she still hasn't found him. Cabell went into some dark alley, was already leaving there, when suddenly, at the very last moment, he ran into two guys. They were also going to enter this alley, but when they saw him, for some reason they stopped and started talking among themselves. They didn't let him pass on purpose yet. They blocked the passage, and after a couple of minutes they recognized him and asked if he was the same Cabal that everyone was talking about. At the same second, the boy stopped controlling himself. His hands and voice trembled, and a blush appeared on his face, because he had about the same age difference with the children in the orphanage, who constantly bullied him, and now about the same situation is happening. One of them allows himself to be grabbed by his clothes, asked what he does without adults and why he didn't cry immediately when he met them. At such moments, his strength disappears. His head immediately became dizzy, and he could only mentally think about my mother so that she would miraculously find him. Literally 1 moment passed, he heard a familiar voice and realized that justice still exists. He turned around, saw her, and was overjoyed as never before because he knew that she would definitely help him. These two are standing in one place. They didn't even say anything to her, and she asked the boy to come back to her and check how the two react to this. She holds out her hand to him, but sees how scared he is to even take a step towards her, as if it could be dangerous. In his eyes, it is very clear that it is not easy for him now, which means that if they manage to return home safely, it will take a lot of time and attention to make sure that he learns to stand up for himself. As it turned out, this is important even at such a young age. In the end, he managed to do it. He ran very quickly to her, even though the distance was short, but they could catch him, and he was afraid of that more than anything. It is surprising that Maya feels very confident, even though the two are much older than her, and they are boys. She has apparently learned to behave properly so that no one thinks that she is afraid of someone. Meanwhile, she asks those guys what the problem is, how she can help them, and most of all, she is interested in how they know the young master. It turns out that even though the boy didn't recognize any of them, they remember him very well because they grew up in the same shelter. Maybe that's why they once saw each other. His visual memory worked, and he was so confused because he felt that anything could be expected from them. In that case, even if they told the truth, she wasn't going to be nice to them. She warned in advance that if she saw them next to him again, someone would regret it very much. Not to mention if they dared to scare him or call him names, as they did before in the orphanage. They tried to make her nervous to scare her, but no one succeeded. She herself can scare anyone. Meanwhile, they were finally found by the most senior member of their team. The commander immediately asked if everything was okay and began to understand what had happened. He thought that he would somehow help, but Maya is doing well herself. She sharply grabbed one of them by the hair and asked how well they understood her, because if not, they will regret right here and now that they detained the boy in such a dark alley, because it is obvious that it was on purpose. Then she saw her assistant, told him that he was a little late and she had almost dealt with them. Then she did not want to waste her precious time on them. She thought that they must have heard her and decided to go on business. It will be a shame if, because of this situation, she spends all her time and does not have time for anything, what she wanted and what she came for. They immediately ran away from them. But the problems do not end there. As soon as they return, she will definitely think about what concerns the child after all. It is time for him to be able to solve such situations on his own. Moreover, the status already allows it, and it was enough to just scare them. He hinted that maybe if they do not fall behind him. While she was thinking about this, she accidentally noticed some gold brooch on the floor. It shines and sparkles so much that it was difficult not to notice it. It is also very beautifully illuminated by the sun's rays. Under it, she looks simply incredible. It became interesting to her. Whose is it, and what does it mean? It can be seen that this is a very old thing and is probably an antique or an artifact. Artifact. This is a disposable magical tool that contains a certain spell which is closer to ancient relics with ancient magic. Extremely rare these days. So this is probably something modern, created recently. And yet, regardless of who and when they were made, artifacts, expensive things that only high-ranking nobles can afford. Suddenly, the same person who came here with the others and on camels approached them and asked if they had seen two short guys. They stole the brooch from him and ran away. The girl was very happy that the circumstances turned out like this. She showed him this brooch and said that she had found it here on the floor a couple of minutes ago. The man is very grateful to her for this good deed. He doesn't even know how to thank her for it. He said a lot of nice words. She replied that she had not done anything like that, and she thinks that the two of them will soon learn what conscience is and will get what they deserve. The man teared up a little and said that he was very fond of this brooch. It was given to him by his mother who, unfortunately, died less than 6 months ago. He still doesn't know how to react to the fact that she did him such a huge favor. He simply wouldn't survive if he didn't get this brooch back. And she doesn't know how to tell him that everything is fine, because really she didn't do anything special for it. It turned out so easily, and it was good that everyone was happy. And in the meantime, they talked a little, got to know each other a little better, and it turned out that he is the head of a trading company, which is called. The calculation process began in her head. She imagined how much this person earns, although in fact, it is even difficult for her to imagine this amount. Thought a little, she said the following. Since he himself said that she had done a good deed, then it turns out that he must also do something in return. He replied that he was ready to give her any gift, but she was not talking about a gift, but only about a visit to the castle in this place, as if that would be enough. After that, she pointed to the boy, told that he is a special child and that his visit will be very significant for them. It is still unclear why she needs it, but when the man heard the name, of course, he could not refuse and immediately agreed. It was already night. It was dark on the street. A heavy downpour began and everyone had to go to sleep early, because in such weather there was nothing else to do outside, and in the house too. There is a very big and loud thunderstorm in the sky. I thought that if they fell asleep, it would be much easier to survive such an invasion. She very quickly persuaded the child to sleep. It was not difficult. The day was very difficult, so he was already asleep in just a couple of minutes as soon as she left the room. Half an hour later, he clearly had a very unpleasant dream. The boy cries, clutches the pillow with his hands as if he sees something terrible in front of him. A man came to him in a dream who looks very much like the one who mocked him in the shelter, and most often he did it with a red-hot metal stick, which he will not forget for the rest of his life, as well as this ominous, unpleasant look. I can't count how many times he begged this person not to hurt him. How many times the child cried. His face literally did not dry from tears. It was unbearable. If he begins to tell what he experienced a couple of years ago, no one will even believe it, only he himself. Then when he began to cry at the sight of this person, Maya appeared in front of him in a dream, who only talked to him, but did not reassure him in any way. He was even momentarily disappointed in her and thought that she had changed so much or even fell out of love with him. And she also said such words to him that were not like how she usually communicates with him. It was rude, cold, and unusual. The most terrible thing was that she said it with a smile, and she also had eyes that were very different from her real ones. They were as if empty. After that, he couldn't stand it anymore. He woke up covered in sweat. Now he dreams only that everything that concerns Maya was just a dream. The boy tries to come to his senses. He realizes that it wasn't real. He tries to breathe, but he still doesn't have enough air. The window is closed because of the storm, and he feels very uncomfortable. The room became hot. He immediately wanted Maya to come to him and calm him down, but he thought that she must have been asleep for a long time. He was convinced once again how much she means to him and how good it is that he has her. And he also mentally got used to calling her his sister, because he thinks that if he calls her that in life, she will say that it is wrong. He already started crying alone in a dark room. He didn't want to wake anyone up, but the girl seemed to feel it. She came to his room, asked what happened, and immediately said that if he was afraid, he could call her and she would gladly stay with him for the whole night. The boy said that he saw again the people he was talking about, that one man mocked him the most, whom he is afraid of even in the windows. The girl felt sorry for him as much as she could, said that it was already in the past and now he cannot be afraid of anything. He is completely safe and she controls it personally. While he is in this house, each of the servants must protect him, and no thief must be afraid of him. And if someone appears in his environment who causes him fear, she is always nearby, and he can call her at any second. The child himself knows that they rarely do anything apart. Mostly they are always very close or together. He was so pleased to hear this that he accidentally called her sister, and these words gave her goosebumps. In fact, my mother always dreamed of having a little brother. Maybe that's why she treats him so well. Maya said that he can call her whatever he likes, and she also admitted that she is a sister. It sounds very nice, and she would also like to call him her brother. It's a pity that others don't understand this. And if someone hears that they address each other as brother or sister, too many questions may arise, so for now they agreed not to call each other that way in public places or if they are not alone. And then she will definitely come up with something about it. Meanwhile, she thought that if they still didn't fall asleep soon, they could play a game that she hadn't shown him yet. Maya just took a small candle with her, and that's all they need for this game. He supported this idea and said that he just wanted to distract himself from bad thoughts. The girl showed that everything is very simple here. You just need to stretch your hands over the fire so that a shadow appears on the wall or ceiling. She showed how it works, or for him it looked like some kind of magic, so he immediately wanted to repeat something himself. Maya told me that there are several types of animals that you can draw with your own hands. At least the silhouette will be very similar. It is possible to create birds, a fox, even a horse or a deer with a shadow, and this is only what she knows. Probably there are some other techniques, but she learned only this. Then she asked him how he liked this game. Personally, she really liked to play it when she was his age, and of course, he also liked it very much. It is unusual and exciting. I really began to feel like an older sister. Not even a sister, but rather a mother who raises a child and gives him all her time and attention. Then they lay down to rest. She tried to fall asleep right away, and he looked at her with open eyes for some time. He was only afraid that she would notice. He felt how comfortable, cozy, calm with her. The way he feels now is very different from the way he woke up after sleep. He wants to look at her all the time. Only lately thoughts have appeared. Maybe he demands too much of her attention, and sooner or later, she might get tired of it. And then he didn't notice how he looked at her, and moved so close that it might scare her if suddenly she opened her eyes right now. After that, he tried to close his eyes, fell asleep. For the first time, he saw the person's face again, but it was very easy to wait with her. And in the meantime, the next day came. While the boy was still sleeping, she left the room and tried to do something useful. But this time, she didn't sleep so much that she couldn't even talk normally. Her eyes closed by themselves. She's asked something. She starts to answer and does not notice how her speech is cut off in half, and she does not finish. The servant suggested that she go to her room and rest for at least half an hour, but she did not even hear this and did not answer them. The girl is completely in her thoughts. She is abstracted from everything and everyone, which scares the assistants a little. They thought that something serious had happened to her, but in fact, she is just very tired and cannot focus on one thing. She did not even see how the child joined them and sat right next to her. The meeting was supposed to take place now, but she didn't even prepare for it. Everything is so bad for him now. She tries to think about everything, but it only gets worse because of this. She just forgets everything. The maid said that in principle they understood everything and would try to improve their work, but they once again advised her to take a good rest or relax in a warm bath. They say it helps a lot. Instead, she wanted to go for a walk outside after all. If she rests too much, she will get used to it and will not be able to return to work normally. This time she had some idea. They came to the clearing and started collecting different plants for something. They began to select some special areas from the ground, but the maid and the boy still do not understand why they do this. And in the meantime, my mother began to ask if she understood correctly that spiritual plants grow here. The assistant was forced to disappoint her and said that it was an ordinary lawn, which was planted for beauty. Then for some reason they began to try everything that they threw out. It did not taste very good. From this moment, the maid even more assumed that the lady was going crazy. She no longer knows how to react to her. She decided to at least somehow support her and did the same. Swallowed this unpalatable plant. Then she grimaced so much that she realized that she would never do this again. Even for the sake of decency, even if she was forced to do it, although it is unlikely that such a thing would ever happen. No matter what, Maya begins to grab everything she sees in front of her, as if she thinks that something from it must be delicious. She herself tried very hard, realized that there was nothing edible here, but pretended that nothing unusual was happening. I didn't like it so much that she regretted that she even thought about it and wanted to turn back time so that nothing like that would appear in her mouth. It was so bitter that I wanted to drink a liter of milk and eat something very sweet to kill the taste. It turns out all this time she was guided by what she had heard that something healing was growing here, and she thought that she knew this plant by its taste, although she had never tried anything like that. And it is very strange that she had such thoughts at all, because it was easier to know exactly where this plant grows and not to miss what fell. After that, she felt a little ashamed that the maid saw all this and also tasted this bitter abomination just so as not to offend the mistress. Then the girl remembered the man they saw in the market. After that, they spoke about magicians and the fact that these are very rare people. In this world, magic was a relic of the ancient worship of nature, passed down from generation to generation. In the distant past, a legendary magician born from nature who ruled over all spirits passed magic to mankind, and his students wrote down his teachings in ancient texts to preserve them for future generations. But the temple, which believed only in divine magic, opposed the magicians. Eventually, they monopolized most of the ancient texts and branded them as forbidden books. Magicians could never increase their power, and since there were few magicians, only rich people could enjoy the benefits of magic, just as nobles can receive treatment at any time. And ordinary people need medicine all their lives and do not even dream of such privileges. But the best option for them is to collect some ingredients from the village doctor and brew tea at home. If they become seriously ill or receive a serious wound, they may try to turn to a priest even if they cannot afford it. If Maya can make a good painkiller from readily available ingredients, it will be a very good deed and ordinary people will be able to use it. Some of them have such serious diseases that they are forced to suffer and suffer for the rest of their lives. And some do not survive and die at a very young age simply because they do not have money for medicine. Probably that's why the girl wanted so badly to reconstruct the greenhouse, so that everything needed to be grown there and healing medicines created. She spends so much time in her office that she already managed to learn something interesting in a short time. She already understands how medicine works, which ingredient helps with what. And she has also accumulated some rare ingredients that she had not even dreamed of before. Everything turned out to be very easy. It is enough to mix several plants and you get something unique, with new abilities, and some of them even have a pleasant smell. Because success or failure depends on when, how, and how much power is added, it was a process full of endless choices and failures. But she goes to the end and is not going to give up because she imagines how many thanks will be from those who do not expect such a discovery from her, and how many lives she will be able to save in this way. She has already created a small amount of medicine. It is not perfected. She is very embarrassed by the taste. But considering the fact that it can save someone's life, the taste is probably not that important. After constant infusion of a small amount of power, the bitterness begins to decrease. The taste becomes much more pleasant, and she also turned the medicine into a form of pills in the shape of flowers, so that it was even more pleasant to take it, especially for children, for whom it is very important. Since most drugs are presented in the form of a decoction, tablets will clearly win, at least because it is something new. She really wants people to use this tool as soon as possible to see the result. I am sure that it will definitely not be worse, although she simply underestimates her efforts. For sure, she invented something amazing that will be in demand for an eternity, because the main factor is the price, which is hundreds of times lower than other drugs. It is not excluded that according to the card, she will even be able to win, because she invested all her knowledge and a lot of time in this. Before going to the market and creating her trading point, she thought, why not test her product on one of the servants? Especially since she can assure anyone that it is absolutely safe, because it is. She approached the two maids because she had heard that one of them had been feeling unwell lately, so she proposed the following idea. She would give her medicine, and the girl in return would tell how she would feel and whether it was worth telling others about this remedy. The girl tells her that, since it's a painkiller, how about finding a knight, because it will be immediately clear on him whether the medicine will work or not. He probably has some wounds or places on his body that cannot heal quickly. My mother was even surprised that she did not think of this right away. She immediately came to them in the hall, where you can definitely meet at least one person. It just so happened that there were a lot of nights here. All that remained was to find someone who would agree to the experiment. She understands by herself that if she received such an offer, she would think that it could be risky. After all, it is about health and such experiments can be dangerous. To begin with, she greeted everyone and asked how she was doing. But they did not understand what she was doing here, and why such questions suddenly, because she had never been interested in this before. They even looked at her with such a look as if they saw some trick in this. The girl said that in fact she has something that can numb any wounds, and if there are those who wish, they can test it for themselves. Someone laughed at it, someone doubted it, and someone thought it was an interesting proposition. No one even had time to answer as one lady approached her, and because of this, the girl was a little upset. She does not have time for all these greetings at all. She needs to test the drugs as soon as possible in order to understand whether it makes sense to go to the market. Only the girl doesn't know this. She just wanted to say hello out of politeness. And then the lady and herself felt a little ashamed that she didn't want to waste her time at first. Since she herself approached her, Maya thought that she could also be asked if she might need to heal some wound, or even several. It turned out to be a guy, and the girl said that he just recently had a serious injury and now help is much more important. It can be seen that he tensed a little, doubts that this is a good idea, and has already started making excuses, as if he does not have time for this. Maya showed him what she had created literally this morning and promised that there could be only two options. Either there would be no effect and he would not suffer in any way, or the wound would completely disappear in a matter of seconds, and it would become the most demanded product on the market. He himself does not understand why, but he believed her. After all, the lady would not risk someone's health if she doubted her proposal. He also thought that in any case it would be on her conscience. Besides, there are plenty of witnesses here who, in the event of something, will be able to defend him and prove that he had no opportunity to refuse. His partner began to insist that this is a great opportunity, especially if in the future the drug will increase in price. Now it will be very profitable. And they still don't know that the medicine will be at the lowest price so that everyone can afford it. He already has tears in his eyes. It's a pity that the guy doesn't understand that he worries so much for nothing. Everything is more than under control. In the end, that girl was able to persuade him. She was a little tricky because it is most interesting to check that the lady invented it. Maya told me that you just need to swallow the medicine, like a sweet candy, and she also made it so that it was also tasty, so that you don't even have to drink water and endure the unpleasant taste. He began to chew the medicine, realized that everything is not so scary and is already calming down little by little and does not look so scared. He began to check the result on his shoulder because after the recent training, it hurt so much. Before that, he could not even raise his arm normally. Some kind of miracle, he touches his shoulder and does not feel any pain, as if nothing had happened, although he definitely remembers that it hurt on the right side. Then he couldn't hold back and said that it was some kind of miracle, that it couldn't be, that he was more inclined to believe that it was some kind of deception or hypnosis. But no, Maya doesn't deceive anyone. He still wanted to know how much it would cost. It would be interesting to see his reaction when he found out that it would be almost free for a symbolic cost, and for some, it was completely free. She is very glad that everything worked. It remains only to wait until the end of the day to understand how long the effect of the medicine is. The guy sincerely thanked her for her help and apologized for not trusting her in the beginning, although she herself understands everything perfectly, because in his place she would have reacted exactly the same. After all, the words that the girl was able to create something in a couple of days that relieves any pain sound like something fantastic that even a child would not believe. Then she asked the boy how happy he was for her, and he replied that it was amazing. She did a very good deed, and it was only the beginning. A couple of days have passed since that moment. The man whom she greeted at the market and whom she helped find a brooch was able to come to her only now. He explained that he had unforeseen business, so he could come only today. But the girl was not very upset, because if they had seen each other earlier, she would have created the medicine later. He is very pleased that she is so hospitable. He would be happy to visit her as often as possible. But unfortunately, soon they will leave here, because they came on business. Now they have something like a business trip. Maya chose for the guests the best kind of tea that they only had so that the man would be satisfied. She herself does not understand why she tries so hard to please him. She simply has such a desire, and she does it as she feels. And finally, they got down to business. Maya asked if he could do her a favor. He replied that he would be happy to do whatever was necessary, and now she told him that she wanted to distribute her products thanks to his company, and he was clearly not ready to hear such a thing. At first, he did not understand how she imagined it, but still, he first asked what she wanted to spread and how much it would be in demand. She showed him this jar, began to tell everything from the very beginning, how she got this idea and why she decided to do it. Initially, the man generally thought that these were some kind of children's candies, which they already have enough of. Maya asked to listen to her until the end. As soon as she tells everything, he will definitely not have any questions, only the desire to check how well it works. But even for such a case, she already has a person who can confirm everything with his example. All this time, while she was talking, he sat with his mouth open, because he had never heard of such a thing, and he himself perfectly understood that such a medicine is necessary for literally every person. If his company will sell such a product, they will be able to gain the trust of customers, and in this way, they will buy other products from them because they will be sure that they have the best and highest quality. It all looks like he definitely won't be able to refuse. At least she wants to believe it. He looks at the contents of the jar so carefully, as if he already wants some kind of wound to appear on him, and check the result right away. And it still seems to him that this is impossible, and that the whole point is to deceive people. Maya explained that she values her reputation, and if even one person has a bad review, she will personally compensate the moral damage and will never sell her invention again. It sounds very convincing. Although he really believes in her, he still wants to check whether such miracles really happen. He specially injured his finger for this to see how quickly everything will heal. While he was doing this, Maya said that she had already checked the action on one of the nights, and if necessary, she could call him. The man believes that this is not necessary. It will be enough for him to check it on himself. He swallowed the medicine, appreciated the very pleasant taste, did not even have time to look at his finger, as there was nothing on it. There was no trace of wounds. He cannot believe his eyes, only that there was a small scratch, and now it seems to have disappeared. And judging by his reaction, of course, he will be happy to cooperate with her, which the girl did not doubt. He told her that this is amazing, that her skill is simply amazing, and of course, she is very happy to hear such words from him. The man is so happy that he would like this product to be on sale right now. He does not even imagine what the demand will be and how all this will affect his business. He expected anything from her, but not only this, but they just met earlier on the street. It seems that fate really brought them together and at the most suitable moment. Now he wants to know how much productivity will be, because if there is any limitation, it can also increase, and I would not like that. She told him that there would be no such problems. She would have time to automate her work in a couple of days, or the medicine would be produced in huge quantities. She already has an idea how to create something. This is such a machine that will be able to make medicine in a matter of seconds. It will be enough to press just one button. The main thing is that there is a demand, and she will take care of everything else. Even if something somehow goes wrong, she still has a plan to fix everything and improve the product. She has foreseen absolutely everything, down to the smallest details. His task will be only to display her goods in his company. Naturally, it will be necessary to take care of advertising. Only now the girl is not thinking about making money. She originally had another intention, to help people and make sure that as few people as possible die at an early age simply because they have little money. The man admitted that he was indeed very happy that the product would be not only popular, but also useful. But still, for him, it is a business, and he too can be understood. Just to make everything right, she offers him to conclude a special contract so that at some inopportune moment, he told me that he refuses to cooperate with her, and she was not looking for another company in a hurry. For the convenience of each of them, it is possible to write a clause. For example, if someone wants to stop cooperating, it is necessary to give a month's notice. And she also told him that this contract would be created in order to protect both parties and that everyone would have their own advantages. In which case, she explains that there is no need to be afraid of a contract. It is not something terrible. On the contrary, it is a kind of assistant and insurance in any business. All of a sudden, she will also tell him later that she found a better company, and he will have problems with the fact that people will ask where the medicine is and where to look for it. Then they discussed a few more points. Everything was very quick, a little tense because it's serious, but overall, they were both happy with the meeting. Although no one doubts that everything should be perfect, you can't tell from their faces that they are satisfied and confident in themselves. Maybe all this is because of fatigue, maybe because of something new and unknown, but it will pass quickly, especially since there is very little left. The guy doesn't understand what needs to be criticized here, but he does it out of habit because before that, he was very often deceived by business partners. He explained in advance that this does not mean that he does not trust her, and she would have done exactly the same in his place. After all, they do not know each other well enough to sign any contracts without looking. She agrees to wait as long as you like, because according to the rules, you need to read every word very carefully, and it is desirable to check the documents several times so that people are not sure of each other, especially when it comes to unfamiliar partners. It was lucky that the contract did not contain too many clauses. He reread and understood everything in a matter of minutes. There was no point in rereading anything. At the very end, when they have definitely discussed everything, it is time to shake hands and hope that everything will be fine and no one will regret. She has a huge responsibility. She is most afraid of disappointing him, as well as some other problems that do not depend on her. I really want everything to go as smoothly as possible, but for now, both of them are shaking hands after all. It is about the reputation of each of them. Finally, the man said that he even became interested in conducting an experiment on his friends. Many of them had been injured during a business trip, but no one even guessed that he already had an amazing remedy. And in the meantime, they are already saying goodbye. And the man also decided to say goodbye to the boy, but for some reason he tensed up a lot, although only that they had been sitting together for a long time and he already had to get used to it. The business partner became very embarrassed that he initially forgot to say hello to him. He does not even know his name now, although the child may have been offended by this. When he was asked to shake the man's hand, he became very angry, so the man did not spoil the situation, only said goodbye to the lady and went about his business. Then I thought that the child was simply not in the mood. He himself was like that before and does not resent him very much. The girl wished the guest all the best, although now she does not even know how to address him. They did not even agree on whether next time they will greet each other by name or even more in an official format. Meanwhile, my mother is so pleased that she simply cannot describe how delighted she is with everything she got. She feels that she has made and invented something very useful, although she did not think before that it would bring her so much pleasure. After that, she approached the boy, asked him to calm down after all. They are now here together, and finally it is possible to relax. You can see how long he waited for this. He didn't want to be alone so much that he was forced to sit here all this time. And in the meantime, to relax a little, she came to the field, where you can ride horses, and even here everything is fine with her. That girl, with whom she already knows, said that she has real talent. She has never seen people master horse riding so quickly. Personally, she studied this for a very long time, so she admires how easily and effortlessly it comes out in ladies. As usual, the camel stands aside. He cannot be separated from her, and at that moment the girl thought, why not ride with him? She held out her hand to him, offered to join, but for some reason he was too upset, as if he was offended by her. He clearly shows that something happened, but she has no idea what she did wrong, and he doesn't even say what happened. It's very sad to see how he has been out of mood for a very long time, although he was usually the happiest when they spent time together. And then she thought that perhaps it was not an offense at all. The boy did not approach the horse even a millimeter, which means that he may be afraid of them. And since most likely he will have to go to the battlefield at some point, and when she is not around, he will need to feel confident, so something needs to be done about it. While she was thinking how to overcome his fear, they all heard that someone was running towards them and got scared, because it could be something serious. Norman runs up and says on the way that they have serious problems. Just like everyone thought, no one has ever seen a butler get so excited and run to tell something. The lady asked him to calm down, to say slowly and clearly what had happened. At first the man could not say a word, but then he tried and told them that Count Bolognev had come to them. And earlier the girl had heard something about him. This is the same unruly Linkel Kevel. The only strange thing is that he did not warn about his visit. Count of Bologna. He was an incomparable scoundrel, even worse than the former duke. Everyone knows him and his reputation is not very good. Since childhood, he indulged in all sorts of nasty hobbies such as games and prohibited substances, and also offered them to other people, mainly his friends. Before the death of the former duke, he insisted that the Duchy of Chernois should never pass into the hands of the second son, Count Bolognev. That's why the girl's father was so persistently looking for a young heir. He is afraid that the scoundrel could threaten not only the boy, but also his daughter. Now it is clear why the butler was so worried. He was just worried about the children because he knows that person very well. And in the meantime, those two had already gone somewhere on business, so he didn't say anything to him. Meanwhile, the men are already waiting for them in the living room. He is constantly dissatisfied with something. He does not even like the fact that there is too much light in the room. Apparently, such an atmosphere is unpleasant for him because he himself is a bad person and has very dark energy. He constantly looks around as if trying to find something, and also listens to every rustle to be ready for the appearance of Maya. He even rehearsed everything he wanted to tell her several times. And what is more, not surprisingly, even now, when there is no one around, he has a very unpleasant face that you do not want to look at. The lady remains to wish her only luck because she still has to talk to him. He is such a difficult and unpleasant person that if there was an opportunity to expel him, she would gladly do it. And yes, she is trying to show him at least a little respect, if not enough. Why did he come? A few minutes have passed. He no longer hesitates to talk aloud about the fact that the person he is waiting for is unpleasant to him. He calls the lady a ridiculous heiress, which means that a pleasant conversation cannot be expected. Even though the girl understands this, she still adjusts to this meeting and believes that since he came without warning, he can wait until she is ready. Half an hour passed. For his sake, she did not even think of hurrying. She put herself in order at a comfortable pace. The same applies to the boy, who could not leave her this time either. He decided to go with her. The man is so unhappy with the fact that he will now see those whom he hates that he has already started to squeeze his hand, and it hurts himself. The door opened. He said aloud that the time hadn't passed, and as if it was possible to make the guests wait like that, as if he had forgotten that no one was waiting for him here in the first place, he should still be grateful that they didn't kick him out and didn't hint that he was a little late. Unlike some, these two would at least show kindness, and until he starts to get angry or say something unpleasant, they will be as polite as possible with him, even though they understand that he does not deserve it. The girl, as befits, greeted him, apologized for keeping him waiting, although in fact it didn't matter to her whether it was convenient for him or not. If it was necessary, she would have gathered all the time. Instead of saying as a well-educated person that everything is fine, even if it is not, he began to laugh as if this was expected of her, and he knew that he would have to wait a long time. She could answer him that if he doesn't like someone, no one keeps him here. And since the man is not here for the first time, he knows where to find an exit. But she, unlike him, knows manners and didn't say that. Even the boy greeted him. He greeted the man, but at the same time, he feels that he is clearly not happy with him, as well as mine. They are already very tired of this look. The words literally read through it. What abominations you are. Very soon I will take everything you have from you. The butler came, brought tea and sweet treats for everyone. And even after that, the guests didn't even think to thank him for that. The man still hasn't said a single word. Although it's wrong, I had to ask him what he's doing here and how she can help him. He wondered why she was asking any questions at all, and also said that this was his home before, and he could not find more than one reason not to move here tomorrow or even now. They did not specifically react to this in any way. They calmly drink tea and eat cookies so that he gets nervous and understands that they will not be frightened by this. He sees that they know their rights very well, understand what he is trying to achieve. In the end, it turned out that only he is not satisfied. At some point, he couldn't take it anymore, became so angry that he hit the table and began to be indignant. How could they behave like this, as if this is not even their house and they have no right to be here? and should also thank him that he does not drive them out into the street. After that, the children just wanted to laugh. He replied that they will see who will laugh last because he already has everything he needs to take this house for himself and in an absolutely legal way. The girl asked how he was going to do it and made it clear that he understood that it was impossible and that he was just trying to intimidate them because he thought that children do not understand many things and can be so easily deceived. She told him that if he named at least one fact that confirms that this house is his, she would leave here until the end of this day and began to carefully watch his reaction. The guest did not think that she would hear this. He was very confused, but everything is very simple. He just intimidates them, as she thought. Before that, he was so brave, and now he can't even say a few words. The Lord clearly expected that everything would be much easier. The children turned out to be much smarter than he thought. After all, they had experienced so much that nothing could frighten them anymore. Even Kabil decided to say that if the man was going to be silent, then it would be better for him to be silent outside the estate. He also looked at him with such a menacing look that he could not stand it and said that for this he would now receive. He never allowed the children to talk to him like that. He just apparently forgot that he was not the owner here, and if the boys shed even one tear, he would regret it very much. He already started to swing at him, said that his place was on the street, and at that moment, my mother managed to intervene. She stood between them, said that if he touches the child with even one finger, there will be consequences, and then he will definitely not leave this house in a good mood. She promises him that. Then she asked him what right he had to behave like that with the children, who she reminded had behaved politely from the very beginning and normally asked why he had come. If she wants, they will have all the evidence that he broke into the house without warning, wanted to hurt them, and also called them names and threatened to drive them out of here. The butler, as he felt, came on time. Maya decided to tell him everything as it was because it was already too much. She would never allow herself to shout at other people's children. Even without the presence of adults, the mistress ordered to expel this person from the house and to control that he did not appear here again without her permission and knowledge. After that, the girl asked him if there was anything else he wanted to tell her, and if not, then she didn't want to talk to him for more than a second. He clenched his teeth, clenched his hands into fists, and very strongly restrained himself so as not to raise his hand to someone. They all annoy him so much that a little more, and he will simply go crazy. When he thought that everything would be easy, he was still dissatisfied. And now even more so, in the end, the man only disgraced himself and did not achieve anything. The butler wished him all the best, but the guest did not answer, simply asked to get out of the way. Nothing can be done with this man. Norman restrained himself. After all, if he had said something to him, he would have had to endure it for a few more minutes, maybe longer. While he is looking for a way out, he wants to break and crush everything in his path. Even this person has time to think how he will take revenge on them while he is here. Unfortunately for him, there are too many servants here, and they are following him from all sides, so it would be better and safer for him to just quietly leave here and never come back. In any case, he does not stop. The Lord intends to take revenge on each of them, to see the tears of these unfortunate children. He can't stand them so much that being here, he hates even breathing the local air. A few days later, my mother asked me to prepare a carriage for her from the very morning. Apparently, she's going somewhere on business. Perhaps it is even somehow related to a recent meeting. She has some kind of anxiety inside since last night. She feels very bad, as if this is a sign that something will happen soon. Everything is so serious that her face is red and her hands are shaking, although if you look around, nothing bad should happen. They ask her to calm everything down, but she feels that it's not just about feeling bad. It's something much more serious. After that conversation, she realized one very big mistake. Maybe this is what gives her peace. In the most remote corners of the huge duchy of Cernois, the vassals of the ducal houses who own small lands protect them. Since Kabyle was recognized by the emperor as the rightful heir, the vassals had to come and welcome the new duke. Well, the girl has never seen these faces. Although she waited for a long time and thought that they simply did not have enough time, and sooner or later, they would definitely come. A bastard who suddenly appeared as an heir, of course. This is not for many, I still do not understand. Is it not possible to get to know him at least out of politeness, as it usually happens in Soviet society? In this novella, they came and behaved in a friendly manner after the horse came back with great achievements from the war. There was another scene where the princess completely put them in their place, and in the original story, she plotted together with these persecutors. She doesn't even know what they think now. Everything is slightly different from the original plot, so she has no idea what to expect next and what she is preparing for. She again has a lot of different thoughts in her head. She is already confused because she realizes that she is responsible not only for herself, but also for this child. She really wants to breathe out peacefully, to calm down, but everything is going so well that she won't find it soon. Nothing makes her happy anymore. Not good weather, a trip, nothing. And from the outside, everything looks as if she doubts that she will last until the end. Only when they arrived at a really beautiful place did she smile, because she didn't think it was really beautiful. Maya asked the mayor how this place was for him, and he very calmly said that it was nice here. It was very unexpected, but she started to smile. Although just a couple of minutes ago, she looked as if she had a great grief. Now they have already come to the farm. There is a lot of interesting things here, and maybe she will be able to relax and be distracted. It turns out they won't do anything special here. In this area, the girl just decided to hold a lesson for the mayor to change the situation, and it was more interesting for him. She hasn't forgotten that he needs to be taught to ride, and she also thinks that he will enjoy these views and won't think so much about how scared he is. To begin with, she decided to go for a ride with him, but she sat him in front so that he felt in charge, and suddenly managed a little. Maya asked him not to think about the fact that they are sitting high, that the horse can run. She constantly shows beautiful views that are truly amazing. If you look from afar, it seems that there is a gold field around, and there is also such a pleasant smell that you don't want to leave anywhere. At his age, she would also be happy to visit such a place and would very much like to have such lessons. Maya amuses him as much as she can, but the boy still doesn't smile. It's as if something worries him, and it may even be that he sympathizes with her real well-being, and unlike her, doesn't pretend that everything is fine. In the meantime, the owners came to the field. They began to harvest and also to look after the territory until it got dark. It's clear that they really like to do it. It's their whole life's work, apparently thanks to it. Everything here is so beautiful everywhere. In the meantime, so that the boy does not forget why he does all this and what is the meaning of it, she reminded that in the future, he will be responsible for the happy life of these people. So that they live long and do not go hungry, he will become their protector. So it is necessary from a young age to do everything, so that later he will not be ashamed. It seems to her that these are very important words. She had to say them, because the boy will understand them, which will be better for him. He tells her that he understands everything. He just tries not to strain during the lesson and only thinks about getting a good grade. In the meantime, several months have passed. The season has come and the harvest is already starting to make me happy. She liked to watch that every day her plant was getting bigger and bigger. She never thought that it was so exciting. She was already thinking about adding something new to the greenhouse. Because time will come very quickly, the season will end, and she will no longer be able to grow some plants, even if she will do it in a greenhouse. The maid comes every day and tells them which plants are growing well and which lack the conditions. And they also talked about the fact that recently the child began to spend much more time without her. He began to walk alone, play alone. He had not even had breakfast with her for a long time. My mother waited a very long time for this to happen. She does not stop being happy and thinks that it is wonderful. After that, she thanked the assistant for the information and wished her a good day. Now that she had a lot more time, she concentrated entirely on testing how many plants could fit in the greenhouse. Since things are going well with business, there have been no complaints for so long. She is doing what she loves and started to enjoy her life for real. She got rid of almost all problems. Only those that can be put off for later or those that can disappear by themselves remain. And in the meantime, the next day came. This is another time when she spends her time alone. The maid just came to pour tea and brought something interesting. Not to say that there was good information. In short, it seems that the temple is preparing to enter the war, and so far she does not even know how to react to it. The Heklos Empire, located in the western part of the Priya continent, is the largest empire on Earth. And the war, which is about to begin, was born in the kingdom of Earth, on the eastern continent, which could not have happened. These people enjoy the fact that they destroy peaceful people, and people do not even have the opportunity to evacuate or move to a safer place. Even if there was time for this, their financial condition would not allow them to do this. Everything is so cruel that people are destroyed right on the streets. In front of children, this is a terrible sight. One by one, they all the time captured small neighboring countries, claiming that their king was a god. Then, under the pretext of returning power to their king, they recklessly destroyed the priests and magicians, whom they considered their enemies. And this war against the kingdom of Eartha, who very soon would fight and defend his people, that is what he was preparing for all the time. Saying that sooner or later it will happen, but she did not think that time would pass so imperceptibly. She wants to return everything back to live a quiet life a little longer and prepare for this war. Somehow cheer her up, but nothing helps. After such news, one can only hope for a miracle, and there can be no good mood. She tries to smile, but the assistant knows her very well and recognizes when the mistress starts to pretend. Everyone wants to believe that very soon these savages will stop this madness, because they are tired of living and knowing that something terrible can happen at the most unexpected moment. Some people even refuse to think about children because of this, because they believe that they will not survive if something happens to them because of this. It is important to understand that no matter how wildly the kingdom of Urea acted, if only the empire and the great temple had cooperated properly, Kabila would not have been dragged to the battlefield at such a young age. Although the empire and the great temple appear to be allies on the surface, in fact their relationship was far from harmonious from the very beginning. The emperor wanted war with the kingdom of Eartha, which even looked closely at the borders of the western continent, but the great temple did not like to obey the orders of the empire, and consistently opposed the war. However, as the people of Earth continued to destroy more and more mages and priests, the imperial palace and the great temple finally united in their forces. Only then, once the war began in earnest, internal conflicts broke out again due to the political struggle between the imperial palace and the great temple. In the end, everything should be like this. The guy will lead the war to victory and will become the most respected person for the coming years. It is very sad that one has to think about this at all, and that such terrible things can happen in the world. But unfortunately, she personally cannot affect it in any way. She just has to accept the situation and believe in a miracle. As soon as she thought about the child, he immediately approached her to ask how she was doing and how she was feeling. It was very nice, especially after they had not seen each other for a long time. She told him that everything was fine and then asked how he was doing, because now it is much more important. She is very happy that he is smiling, that he is in a good mood, but if it were the other way around, she would also be very sad. He said that he learned to have fun alone. He likes it very much. But if she has time to go for a walk, he won't mind either. Also, he saw a lot of interesting things on the territory, which he had never noticed on walks with her. And in the meantime, they apparently decided to go somewhere. Apparently, the girl just took her ego out into the street and came to the library herself to find something. She just came here. She really liked the silence, even though she is also comfortable in her office. But it is somehow especially pleasant to be here, because there is no one even in the corridors and in the neighboring rooms. To begin with, she tried to find a book on the history of the House of Serenois. Although she did not think that the Duke's house even had one in its history book, and that might come in handy. It seems to her that there may be something here that will help the Cabal in the future, although she strongly doubts it. Maya flipped through almost half of the book, and in the middle of the book, she saw one phrase that immediately caught her eye. Namely, that the first Duke had a special power, and ancient artifacts helped him in this. But this is already very interesting. This is the same one she saw in the portrait of the first Duke on the way here. It was hard not to notice that portrait. Now she is sure that there must be something that is passed down by inheritance. If only she knew what it was about. And since the first book she picked up contains so much interesting information, she will definitely not get out of here anytime soon. Knowing some information about that person, he most likely could sell something that would be very useful now. Namely, the same artifacts. In any case, if she spends some time to find something interesting here, it will be very productive and better than sitting around. She walks around the entire library. She did not find anything like that, but she has a feeling that she is very close. Then the girl thought that there might be something interesting in the table itself, although she recently checked everything there and didn't notice anything like that. Although maybe she was just careless and it makes sense to check something one more time. Literally a couple of minutes passed. She found a small casket with coins and jewels, which means that it can be part of those same artifacts. At least it is not excluded. There is not only a lot of everything here, but probably at least one detail of it can definitely be useful to her, and maybe not. I saw a drawing of an artifact in the book. It is a precious stone that emits a red glow, but she has not seen anything like that in the casket yet. As she thought, the artifact will not be found easily. Perhaps it is somewhere here, but in a more reliable place, so that it is not visible at first glance. At some point, the girl took the wrong diamond in her hand, but literally a second later it began to shine very brightly. And that's not even the most interesting. When she turned away, she did not notice that he had changed his appearance and turned into exactly what she was so earnestly looking for. In her hand turned out to be the same artifact, which perfectly coincides with the picture in the book that she saw. It's just incredible. She doesn't even want to understand how this could happen. The main thing is that she has this item. Now she just needs to figure out how to use it to her advantage. Maya did not think that she would be able to do anything at all. She came here for the sake of interest. And in the end, it turned out that it was not in vain. And in the meantime, another hour passed. Each time seems to fly faster and faster, and it becomes very sad. They were talking calmly, but the butler knocked on them to say something. Only it seems that he is a little late. As it usually happens, he didn't pass by just like that. He has not very pleasant news, no matter how much he would like to say it. But today is the day when the horse is called to the battlefield. The order has just arrived. At this moment, the boy wanted to look at this document himself. After all, it was addressed to him personally. For this, he even went further to understand the situation and feel how serious everything is. In the near future, his life will not be the same, and no one knows what will happen in the end. And most importantly, will he ever see me again? The girl immediately told him that if necessary, she can support him and will be by his side until the very last second, until he leaves, because she imagines what it is like for him now and what he is experiencing. She very much did not want this moment to come. For some reason, she thought that he would have difficulty, but still accept the fact that he must leave. But no. He began to say that this is not for him. He is going to live his life in a different way and is not going to risk himself on the battlefield, especially since he is still a child and is not ready for this, both morally and physically. And she doesn't even know what to say to him. She's just very sorry because she's already done everything she could. Now only he can deal with it all. Tell me, this is not a joke. She herself has no idea how young guys feel in his place, and she also thinks that she is even more worried than he is. My wife promised him that she would wait for him back, that she would pray for him every day and never forget how good they were together. And it is very painful for her to hear his tears. It's a pity that a person cannot decide for himself whether he goes to battle or not. His fate is predetermined in advance. The time has come when it's time to go out. There are a lot of people waiting for them. They all want to see how the boy will do it. Although most people came only because they were asked. A special uniform has already been put on him. He began to remember how good it was here all this time, and he really does not want to realize that it might happen that he will never come back again. Unlike him, Maya tries to sincerely believe that everything will be fine and he will return victorious, as she told him. Naturally, no one expects a smile from him, but people are genuinely surprised that he does not cry, because even adult knights very often did not hold back and cried in front of everyone, begging to be left here. The girl tells him that he is a good man, behaves very well, and like a real man, does not show how he really feels. And also, she has prepared something for him. This is the same ancient artifact that should save his life. At least she really wants to believe in it, and that's all she could do for it. After that, he believes only in luck. My mother asked me to always keep this item with me, because if he loses it or it ends up in someone else's possession, the protection is canceled. He did not think that she had invented something like that. And in fact, he did not even imagine how difficult it was to get this artifact. The girl spent half a day on it, but it was worth it. The servants of this house begin to cry, especially the girls who think that everything is very unfair. All this is happening against the wishes of the boy himself. But he himself has said many times that he does not want to go anywhere, and it is not his choice. Also, my mother gave him an envelope that he can read in some difficult moments when his hands will drop. This should help a little. There are probably very pleasant words that can give him motivation. He told her that it is very nice. The boy did not think that she would give him such a gift, but it is very valuable. More valuable than any expensive decoration. After this, Sir Betos approached them again. He also wanted to say something, because he knows for himself how important it is to hear words of support. He went to the battlefield at a slightly older age, so he felt a little sorry for the boy. He could have lived peacefully for at least one more hour in complete safety, but fate decided otherwise and nothing could be done about it. Everyone understands that this war can last much longer than we would like, even 10 or 15 years. Just getting to the ridge of the mountain where the battle is going on will take a lot of time, and the enemy also has a huge role. He is not weak. And in the meantime, unfortunately, that same most difficult moment came when we had to say goodbye, and nothing could be done about it. It remains only to imagine how the Cabal feels now, but at least he behaves very decently, as she taught him. The girl believes that he will definitely come out of this situation as a duke, whom everyone will respect later. The only pity is that they will have to risk their lives for this. She warmly welcomed him, mentally wished him all the best, and as soon as she returned home, she would definitely pray again, just in case. And meanwhile, a few months later, the cold winter ended and a warm spring came, which everyone had been waiting for a very long time. Since the Lord left, Madame has immersed herself exclusively in the study of magical greens, in order to at least somehow distract herself and not worry constantly. She asked to occupy herself with anything. Even very often at night, she created different recipes and in the morning checked how they worked. The maid noticed that the more nervous the mistress is, the better the potion is, no matter how it sounds. At the moment when she can't help herself and still thinks about the war, she is reassured by the fact that she is at least in alliance with the temple. Otherwise, everything could be much worse. Priests and holy knights have healing powers, so even if the camel is wounded, they can heal him with magic. On the other hand, finding wild ginseng was also lucky, although it initially seemed impossible, and there was no point in even asking. She thought that it was necessary to send a lot of these red pills to Kabila. In any case, they would certainly not be superfluous. Red pills will also be sold in the trading company, because now it is wartime. It needs to make even more good medicines. This will help not only Kabila, but also all the inhabitants of this territory. The girl thought that it would get easier over time, but it didn't get easier. She dreams of getting at least some news from him, that everything is fine with him, and he's already used to everything. This time she asked for another report on the state of the territory, because she had not known how things were for a long time. And she also asked the butler if anything had changed recently, to which he replied that, compared to how it was before, the population had surprisingly increased, although they had expected it to be exactly the opposite. Thanks to this, the entire territory feels revitalized. If you do not think about the war, it seems that everything is, as before, calm and quiet. He only said the word war, and she immediately remembered her friend, began to feel sad and asked to remind her less about it next time. My mother tries her best to think less about it. It's very difficult, and when someone reminds her, she doesn't like it very much. In order not to show that she was too bored and could not think about anything else, she asked the assistant what other things they had to do so that she could distract herself and do something useful. He answered that, in principle, they handle all the affairs themselves. Recently, the servants have become very productive, but he still does not understand what this is connected with. There is only the assumption that they want to please their mistress in at least something, and also exclude any bad emotions, so that she does not know that someone is not coping or something is not working. They really want her to go out into the territory, rejoice that everything is very beautiful, well-groomed and clean as never before. Some even refuse their official days off. It was very nice to hear, but still something tells her that the butler is exaggerating in some ways, and very much so. She knows her assistants too well and is sure that there must be some other reason for this. They definitely want to ask her for something in return. And in the meantime, she asked to prepare a carriage for something. At the same time, she does not tell anyone why she needs it. The butler asked to find out what happened, and she answered that she would definitely tell everything, but not now. At that moment, a knight approached her very unexpectedly and said that he wanted to present this beautiful bouquet. He said that he accidentally saw how sad she was and wanted to cheer her up, so he decided to collect a small bouquet. It was so nice that she didn't even know what to say to him, and then she apologized for being silent and explained that she simply had no words. My mother loves such unexpected surprises. It was very timely, and now she will be in a good mood until the end of the day. It so happened that in this bouquet she saw her favorite flowers. Her favorite flowers, and the size of the bouquet is just such that it is comfortable to hold in her hand. It is not heavy, but at the same time, not small. Only now, after this situation, she remembered that once in Kabul very often wanted to cheer her up. He pressed different flowers, and it was at least once a day, every day. This is some amazing coincidence. But his bouquets were very similar to the one that the knight had just given her. The only difference is that the boy's bouquets were monochromatic. All the flowers were of the same color, and today's bouquet was made of different flowers. It was a wonderful period of her life. She remembers it and does not believe that it is all over, and now she will see the mayor very soon. It is impossible to believe, but as it turned out, this time the girl decided to come to the same man whom she kicked out of the house a long time ago. This is the most unpleasant person whose presence makes most people feel very uncomfortable and even get a headache. It is very interesting that she is doing here. Why did she come to him, really, with some good intentions? Or maybe she has some kind of proposal to him. And since she didn't tell her father about it, it means that it would be better if the servants didn't know about it. Maybe it's something like that. So why would they try to talk her out of it? It is also unclear whether he knew that she was going to visit him at all. And the question is how he will notice her, because he probably remembers how long ago she kicked him out and what she said. Perhaps during this time he realized his guilt. He will not behave as before and will gladly listen to what he can do to help her, as expected. The man asked her what she needs, and she says that she came to adopt a child. But this is already very unexpected. The two assistants did not think that they had come here precisely for this. They assumed that they could have any other business here. But not only that. Without further ado, the owner suggested that they follow him directly and even allowed two assistants to enter the territory. He could not be recognized directly. He did not look like himself. Here they have already entered some room. There are a lot of children, but for some reason the atmosphere is not at all joyful and unpleasant. The conditions here are very bad. It seems that they have not been put in order for a long time. They have been dusted off, even on the floor. You can see a few fragments of glass and how they got there. One can only guess. The man said that these are all children, so she can choose anyone she likes, and if she wants, she can choose several. Really, this could mean that she got used to the cabal and could no longer imagine her life without a little friend. So she decided to adopt someone as soon as age allows. She said that she wanted to meet each of the children. After all, this is a very important matter, and she cannot choose at random. Of course, the owner of the shelter agreed. And as it turned out, he is not the only owner here. There is another woman who just found out about her visit and came to say hello. Maya noticed that while the children are clearly starving, the woman is dressed in fashionable clothes, which means that she mainly spends money only on herself and gives the children only the bare minimum, only food and apparently not much. She asked whom the girl would like to adopt, a boy or a girl, because depending on the answer, she can even help with the choice and tell information about any child, his character, and much more. The girl replied that they will definitely discuss this a little later, and now she wants to ask if by any chance the woman remembers the boy with black hair and pink eyes who was adopted about 6 years ago. She replied that they had a lot of children who fit this description, so she couldn't say for sure. Although it looked like she perfectly understood what it was about, she just didn't want to admit it because she understood why the girl was interested in it. My mother heard this and did not understand how it is possible not to know the children of her period. After all, there are not as many of them here as there could be. After that, she decided to show them portraits of two people, and then asked if, even after what she had seen, she would still maintain that she did not understand anything. These two looked carefully at the picture, even as if they really did not understand what this person was trying to find out. In the meantime, the woman reacted somehow strangely. She said that it was like some kind of joke and hinted that she did not have time for this. Maya could hardly contain herself. Where is she in a hurry? Apparently, she is in a hurry to go to the store or for a manicure. My mother said that the last time she asked who, in their opinion, could depict these two portraits. Otherwise, the conversation will take place in a completely different way. Two of her assistants are not used to such confrontations. They immediately hid behind her, and from the outside, it looks a little funny. Then the knight still decided to help the lady. He pointed his sword in the direction of these two and said that he would ask just once who was mocking the boy. Otherwise, if there is no answer, they will be mocked now and very cruelly in order to take revenge for every tear and wound on the body of the child and not a single one. And even those who, unfortunately, remained here until now. Maya told that the boy told her everything in all the details. So until they deal with this, they will not go anywhere from here. She wants to achieve justice. Children do not deserve such treatment. They did nothing. They were left without parents and vice versa. They deserve the best. And it turns out that, having refused the shelter, they find themselves in the worst conditions. Meanwhile, the girl did not wait for the answer. She released reinforcements and made sure that these two were sent to the police. Now it is clear that when she said that she wanted to adopt someone, it was just a cover to deal with a completely different matter. She's very glad that everything turned out that way. Now it is necessary to make sure that the owner of this shelter is a person who really loves children and can get along well with them. Then she realized that it would take a lot of time, so she offered the children to go with her in the carriage. Apparently, she wanted to take care of them for a while until the owner of the shelter was found. She is so good at heart that she did a good deed and even forgot that the assistants are probably in complete perplexity what she has planned for today. She definitely wouldn't have done it without them. So it's time to say a few words, namely, that she wouldn't have done it without them and is very grateful to everyone for what he did. And also, if she could only make sure that these children had families in the near future, she would be the happiest in the world. She will not be able to shelter them forever. They will still have to return to the shelter, but it is still enough. She has done everything she could. The knight even praised her. He said that he was proud of her and had no doubt that the lady always had a kind soul. After that, she turned to her father and said that from now on, there will be no more slums on their territory. She really wants that. When Khalib returned, he would not recognize this area and said that he was also very proud of it. And while she is here without him, she will try to do everything to develop the territory and do only good deeds. After that, the butler even cried a little. He is very pleased to hear this, and he is proud to have raised such a daughter. Although he personally did not take any part in her upbringing, she still was and will be his daughter, and it is very pleasant for him. After the girl helped the children, she felt so good that she wanted to do something else. She felt that she has some kind of purpose, makes people happy, and as soon as this happens, she feels great. Meanwhile, night has come. Caleb is sitting near the fire. There is no one near him. Apparently, he asked to be left alone. He has done this before. It turns out today he received a letter from Maya. She wrote so that he would not be sick, not to forget to eat well, and always remember that she is always with him and that she loves him very much. These were such pleasant words that he burst into tears. After so much time, the guy missed him incredibly and still can't believe that they are separated by a huge distance. They got here for several days, on terrible roads, and every second he thought about me. The guy is so used to her that he constantly struggles with the feeling that she is not around. And in the meantime, when it was already starting to get a little light outside, no one could have thought that they would have a little trouble from the very morning. They wanted to calmly move on, but some nights noticed that someone was nearby and hiding in the bushes. They came to check who was watching them, but they saw some strange creatures that no one had warned them about. They don't even know their weaknesses, what opportunities they have. Literally nothing. They had to act according to the situation. It's very difficult, especially after everyone just woke up and can still be a little confused. They are very difficult to defend against. They are much faster. Fortunately, their blows are not so strong that they can cause a lot of damage. Someone decided to run away from them as soon as possible. Someone insists on destroying them all and going quietly further. And meanwhile, Khalib thought about something. He got the feeling that this is his chance to show himself, because he has the feeling that everyone thinks that he is not capable of anything and came with them for company. While one of the knights began to attack these monsters, he carefully watched from the side in order to understand how best to fight them. This was a very good tactic. He invented it on the go, when suddenly the guy did not notice that one of the monsters began to attack him from a tree. While the second knight looked at him, he felt very calm, even better than usual. Caleb calculated everything and struck at the very last second. He destroyed this monster so beautifully that everyone immediately praised him. This is his first opponent, and he went with him simply magnificently. The knight asked how it turned out for him, because he is much younger than all of them, and everyone thought that she would have to protect him. But this is how it actually turns out. They won't even be surprised if he later saves someone. In general, they now perceive him as a full-fledged knight who can be counted on. The guy says that he is very pleased that they noticed this. He now feels much more confident, but before he was afraid to even talk to them. For some reason, he thought that they would laugh at him and say that he was the only one here. As a result, he made friends very quickly with everyone. Got acquainted thanks to this situation. He now feels better and is not afraid of the next opponents because, apparently, there will be many more such unexpected moments. A couple of hours have passed. It is already much brighter and warmer outside. During this time, they have already managed to create a small camp with tents, although they initially thought that they would not even have time for this.